Universe, we talk about buying used tools and parts at the flea markets and yard sales. And Ricky talks about radial versus the world.
Oh, yeah.
And we talk about back to driving basics. Influence of tech. Let's get back to the basics. There's too many screens in the cars these days, and we're going to talk about it.
Agreed.
Has it gone too far in the car?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's get it started.
Oh, God, come on, God dang it. Yeah, now we are all cylinders. Torque wrench, bolts and nuts, gaskets, horsepower stuff. Got the valves, got the pistons. Me and Ricky speaking, we all listening. Y'all are tuned in to On All Cylinders.
God dang it!
God dang it, baby. What's going on, Mr. Clark?
Oh, man. I still laugh at that intro every time I hear it.
I love it.
Still
We need to
laugh.
make that a ringtone. I would totally have that on my phone. I set it as a notification or something, and every time something comes through on Facebook, I'm like, come on, God dang it.
God dang it! I scream that out in my garage probably like every 10 minutes. God dang it!
I do the same, especially when I hit my knuckles.
Oh, and it's all usually
There's some
due to...
explicitary beeps and beeps there.
it's usually... Like, for me, it's from bullshit tools.
Oh, yes, gosh, there's nothing worse. You know, I for the longest time, I couldn't afford any, what you'd call good tools, and I can't really say that I can afford them now, but once you get a hold of a tool, I remember my first snap-on ratchet. I literally got it from a yard sale, literally, because I wasn't giving $90 for a ratchet when I can get a Stanley one for 10.
You dang right.
And then I used the snap-on ratchet, and I was like, man, I hate this Stanley ratchet.
yeah, it's like, you don't have to worry about your bolts and stuff stripping out with bullshit tools, though, because usually just a tool strips off.
Yeah, the tools strip off, yeah. You can save the bolt.
Then you just get a bunch of round sockets that don't fit in nothing.
Don't fit in nothing.
You end up putting them back in the tray anyway.
Absolutely.
You know, they're cracked and shit, and you're like, oh, this socket is junk. Put it back in the tray.
And you're like, I'm going to get rid of this. And then you forget about it. For me, I forget about it until I need it again. And then I grab it, and then it started cracked. And then I'm like, God dang it.
Yeah, I can fix that.
I meant to throw that away.
Yeah, I'm going to fix that later.
Yeah.
That ratchet that only spins one way.
Oh, my gosh. Or the one that don't spin at all.
Oh, yeah. It's like the selector don't even switch in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you used the 90-tooth ratchets? The newfangled 90-tooth where, you know how before you can move it, the ratchet a quarter inch before you would get a click?
Yeah.
And now they got these 90-tooth ratchets out that you just go, it's not even a 16th of an inch. You breathe on it and it moves. They're awesome.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's some high-tech ratchets. You ain't going to find that on Marketplace for $1 in a box.
Oddly enough, they got them at Lowe's. They're the Lowe's brand. What's the...
And that and Cobalt?
Cobalt, there you go.
Cobalt brand.
The Cobalt.
I like Cobalt.
I like Cobalt, too.
I buy a lot of used tools. Like, who passes up a box of wrenches for $3 at a yard sale?
Somebody that clearly doesn't know what they're doing.
Right. I don't give a damn if they're junk or not. There's nothing wrong with having 15 of every size wrench hanging on your wall.
Absolutely. I mean, you can use them for so many different things. You can customize your tools.
Right.
You can cut them in half and weld them back on something else. And you'd rather do that on a tool that you got $4 in.
I'm guilty for slamming them with big damn hammers.
Done that. Bent them. Had to shape them to where you need them to be.
Right.
Before I knew there was such thing as a distributor wrench, I bent them myself.
Yeah.
And then,
Heat them and beat them and bend them. I mean,
and then you've got those
sometimes
people
you just hit them while they're on a rusted, stubborn-ass bolt.
Oh, yeah. I broke many of them that way.
So the recoil flies back up in your face. And God dang it!
Or how many times have you broke the end of a screwdriver pretending it's something to pry with?
Oh, yeah.
With a hammer or something.
Puncture tool and stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is really a chisel, not a screwdriver. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, misuse of tools is probably 90% of my accidents in my garage.
Mine too.
You know, like, put that screwdriver through my wrist. What were you doing? I was using it as a freaking chisel, like you say.
Hey, you know something else I like about buying used tools?
What's that?
Is being able to take them back.
Right.
You know, like say you buy your ratchet from, I don't know, a yard sale that's a Craftsman or anything like that. Well, they got lifetime warranties on them. You just take them back in and exchange them. I used to, before I, started making any kind of money, then I would go to yard sales and purposely look for broke tools because I could buy a broke tool for $0.25 and take it and trade it back in.
I like your hustle.
Hey, poor people got poor people ways, bud.
Don't knock the hustle, for sure. And I had never even thought about that shit.
Well, that means your moral compass is better than mine.
Well, I mean, I just not that dang smart, I guess.
We did though for the longest time. You would go, you can buy the air ratchets and stuff like that, buy them seized up, and then just take them in and trade them in.
That's about the only thing that I will not buy used anymore. Is air tools. I learned my lesson.
Oh yeah.
3 impact wrenches later, and I'm still like, I should just go buy a new one.
Just go buy a new one. There's definitely tools that you need to buy new. Or as close to new as you possibly can.
Slightly, tenderly used. Gently used pneumatic tools. That sounds dirty.
Yeah, it does. By the way, if y'all come to a yard sale at my house, none of the tools are gently used, I promise.
Ricky's gently used pneumatic tools. That's dirty.
Dirty.
That's like, do you want my impact wrench, baby?
I remember you kind of turned me on there a little bit.
Cut that shit out.
Quit it now. We're supposed to be on a podcast, not talking dirty to each other.
Snap-on tools take a totally different meaning.
We don't know how we feel about Snap-on's new advertising as a campaign.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, they're trying to bring women more into, to try and get better female mechanics. Maybe they need to approach it differently.
We had a female student in my auto class. And she knew more than most of the guys because she grew up in a salvage yard, like that's what her family did. And the dudes give her so much crap she left.
That sucks.
I was like, that's what's wrong with you heathens.
Yeah, especially because, women have been proven they have a better attention span than we do. Think about it. I mean, they typically raise children, so they got to make sure the children don't eat stuff and die. So
I don't remember half the shit that my wife does, apparently.
Yeah. My ex-wife still calls me up and tells me about the stuff I don't remember she did when we was married.
Oh crap!
She'll be like, "Do you still got those curtains I hung up that one time?" I didn't know there was curtains in my house. What are you talking about? She's like, they're the shade things over the window.
He's like, yeah, this is my gently used pneumatic tools.
Gently used pneumatic tools.
And I don't buy electric tools used deal, like welders and shit. This has got to be brand new.
I'm gonna disagree. I've never bought a new welder ever. However, I can't buy it at a yard sale. I got to be able to test it. I generally don't buy electric stuff at yard sales and secondhand because you can't test it. You don't know if the bearings in that grinder are any good anymore. Right. And why not just go buy a bullshit grinder for $20? Harbor Freight, baby.
You're right.
Harbor Freight's the best.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to pay that much for some crap at a yard sale or whatever. I don't buy electronics used. I try not to.
I try not to, but, I'm real bad about buying... Facebook Marketplace, I love it because
I'm addicted.
Me too. I mean, I spend hours looking at it. It used to be porn, now it's Facebook Marketplace.
I feel so dirty and ashamed.
Not me. It's a step up from my lifestyle. I feel cleansed, brother.
I'm like, oh shit, project car, $500. I got $600
right now. I'm gonna go off from 3. I'm really getting a good deal.
Heck yeah! I only need 80 of that for gas.
It's awful. I'll spend 20 minutes debating on whether or not I want to go to Walmart. But you give me a project car that's in California, let's go.
Let's hit it. We're going to ramen noodle the shit out of this road trip.
I don't even need to eat. I'm fat anyway.
I can fast.
Intermediate fasting brought to you by project cars.
Intermediate fast. Is your Catholic acting up again? Intermediate fast.
Now, speaking of electric tools, have you tried any of the like the new battery powered stuff?
The lithium stuff, the 20 volt stuff.
Well, I've only got 18 volt stuff. I've got some Milwaukee stuff. Man, I'm blown away by the power of this stuff.
Dude, they have like freaking cell phone thing. Like you can get on your cell phone and check the battery level on them.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
What is that about?
Like,
Bluetooth tools.
I mean, I hear this thing called a Bluetooth dry shaft that might be coming out for us two-wheel drive guys. I don't know. I'm totally joking, by the way.
I was about to say, is that going to be like accompanied by a Bluetooth 10 millimeter socket so I can always find
never
that?
lose it. You would never lose it. Somebody out there listening to this, we need that right now. If you do nothing else from this podcast, we need a Bluetooth 10 millimeter socket.
Do you know how to get around losing your 10 millimeter socket? Work on American classics, baby, standard.
Well, I mean, I do that.
Right,
but then I put LS motors in them, and they got 10 millimeter sockets.
That's how I know not to trust the LS motor. It's got Honda style sockets on it everywhere.
Easy. Gosh. I'm going to convert this guy eventually, I swear.
Not until you buy me a 6-liter LS and put it in one of my trucks for me and let me drive the shit out of it.
Well, we could talk about the Coyote motor. Actually, down in Georgia at Ducks Race, the No Mercy race, Radial versus the World. The Ultra
Did
Street.
you say Radial versus the World?
Radial versus the World.
Radial versus the World.
I love it. It's literally my favorite and basically my only style drag racing that I like that's legal.
Well, I mean, let's explain to our audience here, just a brief overview. What's the difference in radial racing versus regular drag racing?
Basically, the biggest difference
Versus
is the
no
tire.
prep racing.
Okay. No prep racing, you're allowed to run a slick. NHRA drag racing, you're basically allowed to run a slick. For you guys that don't know, a slick is a bias-ply tire that doesn't have any sort of structural integrity to it at all. It's a big balloon that gets sticky and it works. You can hook it anywhere. It's a great tire and they definitely have their place. NHRA runs them. That's the only thing they allow to run. For the radial tire stuff is a tire that is built of radial construction. It's literally the same construction as the tire that you run on the road. It's a DOT street legal tire. Now they have less.
So what you're saying, radials have steel belts.
Correct.
Drag tires don't.
I'm saying slicks don't.
Slicks don't.
Correct.
There we go.
Yeah, because the drag
Just
radial.
to clarify for people out there.
Gotcha. Basically,
I didn't mean
slicks.
drag tires, slick, yeah.
Yeah, slicks is for little girls and radials is for men. That's how I feel about it.
Dang, he called y'all slick people out.
That's right. If you got a slick tire and some wheelie bars on your car, you're wrong.
Dang.
That's how I feel about it. But that's also why I like the radial versus the world stuff. They've took a tire that you can literally run on the street. Now, obviously, this is not something you daily drive.
Right.
You know, if you get caught in the rain with a drag radial in your car, you're in for a bad day. Trust me, I know. But they've proven that if you can 60 foot the same with a radial as you do with a slick, you'll be a tenth faster in the eighth, and about 12 mile an hour.
Why would you argue that?
Well, the reason is that a slick will grow and it actually slows the car down.
Got you. The
The radial doesn't.
The overall diameter of the tire swells
On a slick, yes.
on a slick.
When a radial, it doesn't.
Expands,
And actually slows the car down.
and then you have more ground to cover because your tire has an increased circumference,
Correct.
as it were.
Yeah.
Look, I can be smart some
Look at
fucking
you,
times.
buddy. I'm so proud of you. But it's the radial versus the world race is they have a bunch of different classes. They have some slick tire stuff, but not much. It's kind of a poke at those guys, really.
Right.
You got to run on either an X235 or an X275 or a 315. 235 is basically a 26 by 8.5 inch wide, 26 inches tall, 8.5 inches wide. Your 275 is 28 inches tall, 10.5 inches wide, no W's. There used to be, the 28-10.5W that you could run. You can't run those anymore. And then the 315 is basically the same diameter as like a 29-10.5. So, and the reason this has come about is because horsepower there's no problem with horsepower. Horsepower is the easiest part of drag racing now. The problem is that how to make it not just a money race, because when it comes to horsepower, whoever has the most money is going to win. That's just what it is. So they bring the tuning game into it and it brings in the suspension side of things. You know, when you're trying to hook 4,000 horsepower on a tire that's 10 inches wide or even less, like the Conley camp or the 10 Soldiers camp out of here in Kentucky, they're trying to hook 1,800 to 2,500 on a 26-inch tall tire that's only 8.5 inches wide and still running 4s in the 8th. But the Ultra Street class down there this weekend, 2 weekends ago now, which is the closest you can get to a legitimate street car. I mean, they look the same. They're not allowed to have altered wheelbase. They're not allowed to have, they have to have steel roof and quarters, not allowed to have a big wing on them. They legitimately look like street cars.
So it has to be door slammer, panel, street car, basically.
Yes. Went 450s in the 8th. On
450s.
On a 28 10.5 on a 275 drag radial.
On a for real street car.
On a car that you could legitimately drive and get groceries. Here's the difference.
Grocery getting. Getting in that ass.
Oh yeah, and it was crazy. It's the greatest race. If you guys are not following Donald Long or Donald X Productions on Facebook, you really should be.
What's the 60 on that?
On a 450.
On a 450. What's the
I think he went a .91.
.9. God.
So not even a second.
Wow.
So you know how a car driver rates their 0 to 60 foot times? This would be, these car goes from 0 to 60 in way less than a second.
Yeah.
Less than a second.
That's fast.
Yeah. To
Wow.
cover 660 foot in 4 seconds is ridiculous.
That's incredible.
On a tire that legitimately is only 28 inches tall and 10 inches wide.
Now, speaking of the soft compound drag slick, and it's not the radial, the soft compound.
Okay, the bi-sply.
Yes, the bi-sply slicks. The rail cars, the expansion on those tires. If anybody's ever watched the slow-mo.
Oh yeah, it's nuts.
And the expansion on one of the, big wheel or big tire cars. It's crazy.
They'll grow a foot.
They'll
get a foot taller.
And 12 inches thinner. I mean, it is amazing that those tires don't just fly the hell apart.
Oh yeah, which is why the radial is such a superior tire. I mean, if they would put those on a radial and get them to be able to work, there would not be any more quarter mile racing.
Really?
Yeah, they've already
everything would go 8th mile.
Well, they have to. They wouldn't be able to slow them down.
Be too damn fast.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a mile long.
You'd have to have a mile long
trap in the back.
Yeah.
To slow them down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, that's the reason top fuel cars is they don't run a quarter mile anymore. They only run 1,000 foot. That's the reason a lot of the really fast races nowadays, they shut it down at 8th mile. You can't slow them down. A lot of people think it's because, they just don't want to hurt their parts, which that plays a part of it. But I mean, the distance that you run from stop to the 8th, it's only 3 seconds longer to get to the quarter most of the time with something that's fast. So hurting the parts is not the problem. If it's going to run for 4 seconds, it's going to run for 7. The problem is slowing the cars down.
Yes.
The big class, the Radial versus the World, they're running 350s in a nitrous car. Okay, now to give you an idea, 350s in 8th, that's 210 to 214 mile an hour and 660 foot. So imagine if they had 1,320 foot to run.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally faster than pro stock cars right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they're doing it on big air quotes here, street legal tire.
It's a big air quotes.
It's legitimately a DOT approved tire. I mean, it says it right on the firewall. If you get pulled over and you're driving on a drag radial, there's absolutely nothing the police can do about it. It's approved tire. It's 50 state legal.
DOT 3 tire.
DOT street legal tire.
Nice. So run them.
Run them and as long as you don't remember replacing them every 1,000 miles.
They don't last long.
They don't last long, and do not get caught out in the rain in them. I promise you. Driving on a day like today, I would not have made it here. I'd be wrapped around the telephone book.
He said, "Jesus, take the wheel, because I sure as hell ain't got it."
For sure. There would be no need for turning indicators or anything like that because the car's gonna go wherever it wants to go anyway.
So where do you see electric racing going? Do you see electric racing becoming as popular as drag racing? Like
in certain crowds, absolutely.
Not drag racing, like gasoline racing. I guess we should call it. Algae racing, whatever.
No, because I don't see electric cars becoming as popular as gas cars. I think there's a niche market for it. I think it's cool. There's some electric dragsters out there that's already running for us. Because there's
everything has its place.
Everything has its place, and I think if people in society would start trying to convince people that their place is wrong, we get along a lot better. If you don't like something, that's fine, man. Just don't be a part of it. No big deal.
Right.
As long as that person is not trying to come to you and convince you that we see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, but there's also a lot of stuff we don't see eye to eye on. We joke around and cut around about the LS stuff, but at the end of the day, I don't care if you want to LS swap them or something, and you don't care if I do. We're buddies, and if whatever you're doing, I'm going to support you, and whatever I'm doing, you're going to support me, and that's what we do. The only thing we don't support.
It's back to our last episode. Mm-hmm. The Carolina Squirt.
That's the only thing nobody supports.
That's the only thing nobody supports. I will never make fun of you for putting anything in your car or truck unless it's the Carolina Squirt.
Right. And then I will walk up to you and I will say, hey man, do you need me to start you a GoFundMe account or something? I want to see you get the rest of your truck lifted up.
But I got some change in my pocket.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to put $1.27 towards your cause.
Don't be too proud.
Let's get that thing leveled out.
That's right. Man, I've seen some rough ones here lately. Like, have you seen that it's even starting to come in down here?
No, I refuse to believe that.
Oh, I promise you.
I'm just ignorantly blind to it. I don't even see that bullshit.
Don't go to Lexington.
Oh, well, you said here. Lexington's not even in Kentucky, man.
That's a whole nother world.
That's a whole other place in itself. You actually have to drive into a portal to reach the area.
Oh, I kind of feel that way about most cities, I won't lie.
Sorry, really. It's crazy that where we're from, we like to drive triple-digit speeds, but we don't have a straight stretch for...
There's not a straight stretch at all.
Everybody's like, the street outlaw of Kansas and this and that. I'm like, well, shit, they're straight stretches. 27 miles of nothing but a straight road.
Tell them to drive to my house. And as long as you're coming around here, you understand that yellow line in the middle is just a suggestion.
The only flat space around here people make road like houses on.
Yeah.
Like the rest of it's just rocky shit.
We'll park trailers on stuff that ain't flat. Nope.
We put houses on stilts.
Don't even worry about it. I'm surprised drag racing is as popular as it is around here. I think it's because it's such a fabled thing.
Oh man, check it out. There's at least a half mile of flat land. Drag race.
Quick, somebody put some concrete down. Yeah. Who's got a bulldozer? We're
going to mark it off. Step this shit off. and that's back to the old school, man. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like that's how you got shit done. You just did it.
Yeah, you just do it. You're like, I've got an idea. I'm going to execute the idea. Yeah. I'm going to plan it, execute it, make it happen. Yeah,
it's like I want to big block my car and four-speed it. They just did it.
Yeah.
In the garages and in their driveways.
Yeah.
Across the country.
Yeah, that's just what you did. And they didn't even have things like the internet where parts are easy to find.
I know.
They had to go to Joe Bob around the corner where the barn used to be that burnt down where the big oak is now and talk to Bill, who might know George. They could help you maybe find a clutch for your four-speed.
But can you imagine a world where part stores were everywhere? Real part stores. I mean, even in my time, in my teens, I'm only 40, and in my teens, you could go to the auto store, and some old dude more or less would be like, oh, well, we don't have that part, but that part cross-references with this car, so we'll see if we have them under this stock number for this model car. And usually things would play out to your favor. Mm-hmm. And they knew what they were talking about, and there were not as many cars.
Oh, get you some of that, Daddy.
Oh, that's natural. That is not an after effect. That is natural.
Yeah, and it's funny because growing up, I still know the guys to go to. Like, I will wait for a couple guys at a couple of different part stores. I will stand there and wait till they're free, and I go up to them and be like, hey.
But it used to be commonplace to just walk in and get the part that you needed. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, oh, well, I need a 3-day wait on that. I'll have it for you tomorrow at 12:30.
And then hopefully it's right.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's right.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone too far with the car, people.
Not only with the car, but it's also with some of the the people themselves. I used to work at a parts store. Did you know that? I used to work at a parts store.
Well,
and legitimately, this is what you get. You'll get somebody come in and go, hey, man, I need that black piece underneath the hood of my car. It ain't no good no more.
That black piece.
I'm not bullcrapping. Literally. So I got so tired of that I would just literally look up a black piece underneath the hood of a car that was the most expensive piece there and be like, that's what you need, buddy.
my belt bulb is bad.
My belt bulb's bad. I need some blinker fluid for this thing.
Yeah.
Wobble bearing has went out and it's not wobbling no more.
I ain't got nothing going on with my air contuber.
But I think you're right. I think the reason for not having as many good parts people out there is because there's too many parts to a car now.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I rode some stuff that's really luxurious that is super neat, but there's a price that comes with that. Not just a monetary price, but the price of being able to work on it yourself and the price of knowing actually how it functions. You know, even with my truck, which is just an 08, I mean, there's some stuff that's going on there that I'm like, I don't even know how to fix this. What is this? You know?
Oh, my diesel, I don't even attempt it. It's something happens and it's weird, and I'm like, going to Ford.
Yep. I mean, so, you know, there's too much, and this is coming from me, so I do feel there's too many electronics involved in cars now. When you, and my buddy Ross, bless his heart, I started doing him in the Army, and he's a mechanic now. He gets pissed off when people come to his shop with their new car because their lane indicator doesn't work.
The lane indicator,
meaning that
it
doesn't tell them when they're crossing the line, so they're upset. So basically, that's what it's come down to. Not only do we not need to parallel park anymore because we've got a car that parallel parks for us.
Right.
Not only do we not need to pump gas because we've got cars that don't need gas. Now we can literally, you've seen the brake assist that's coming up, right? That's supposed to keep you from running over people. So basically, you can just get in your car and it'll drive itself.
I think that people that have cars that park themselves should be paying more insurance than what I pay.
Absolutely.
Because I'm still in control, and ultimately, if I mess up, I'm going to pay.
Yep.
Who are you going to shift the blame to if that car messes up?
Well,
and smashes somebody, and they're like, "Oh, it's the automaker." Automakers never pay for shit.
Right.
They're never held liable or accountable for anything. Not when it comes to the average consumer.
Right. It'll be the same problem that we have with guns and the same problem we have with spoons. It's always somebody else's fault. You know, it's the gun's fault that somebody got shot. It's the spoon's fault that I'm fat, and it'll be the car's fault that, you know, it didn't park itself. The problem I feel like is we're working too much on technology, trying to make things easier, and not doing what we need to do and working on people.
Well, they tell you you're going to get pulled over, you're going to get a ticket for distracted driving. Don't be on your cell phone. But your car has a 12.5-inch diameter digital screen, you know, that you have to use to operate the entire frickin' car.
Right.
You know, back in the day, every button, every knob, everything had its own texture and place, and you were familiar with where everything was, and you didn't have to take your eyes off the road to tune the frickin' radio.
Right, because it actually had knobs on it. And
right.
What would the term be? It was three-dimensional because you could actually touch it.
Right.
Where now everything's two-dimensional. It's on the screen.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's like the push-button start. You know, well, what do you do if that goes out? What do you do?
When I first seen that, I was like, are y'all just trying to make your cars look like race cars?
You just screwed.
Yeah. Well, why would you want that? I mean,
I'm hoping that the $40,000 that people paid for their new car, I'm hoping that they put $30,000 of R&D into that push-button start system. Because that is the whole operation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you used to be able to hotwire a car.
Yeah.
Oh, freak, man, I broke my key off. Well, we just hotwire it, you know. Oh, man, I lost my keys. I don't know where they are. Well, we just hotwire and get to town, you know.
I think there's, isn't there an override for the push button start? Like, I know you have to have the fob with you because that's what registers it. But I think usually there's a, for when the push button goes bad. I think a lot of those cars have like you step on the brake twice or something stupid.
Yeah, stick your tongue out the right side of your mouth.
Yeah, something stupid.
Wink twice.
Yeah.
Turn the radio up and down.
Scratch your armpit.
Yeah, tap on the dash.
I think I'm not 100% for certain on that. If somebody knows, let me know. Now I'm gonna have to look it up because it's gonna bother me.
I mean, I'm from the time of remembering Contracos, left, right, up, down. I remember that shit, but I'm not going to remember, like, hit the power button on your stereo twice. Turn your lane indicator mechanism to the left.
And just hope that your lane indicator works.
Technology's gone too far.
It has, and it's actually caused people to how to forget how to drive.
Right. Before you had to be somewhat mechanically inept to learn how to operate a car, which also came with the knowledge to be careful with your car because you knew how they worked. And now people are just hitting shit, curbs at 60 mile an hour, and they're like, well, I don't know what I did to it. Yeah. Just screwed it up. Like, you can't do that, you know? It takes the driver out, you know. People get freaked out. And I'm not that dude that's going to be like, oh, well, they made cars pretty and simple for the women folk.
Right, no.
I'm not that dude.
Right.
They made them look hassle-free to the newer generations that were freaking lazy, that had no interest in learning how their car operated or what to do if it broke down. You know, it's take it to somebody else. That's what they started pushing. Take it to somebody else to fix it.
You don't have time to learn blue-collar stuff. You need to work on a computer and be a doctor and a lawyer.
Right. There's no more hands-on and getting greasy anymore. Everybody's supposed to stay clean and...
Well, lucky what I've noticed talking to some of the much younger generation, like the 16, 17-year-olds that we have now, them folks have kind of seen the trend. They don't like how their dad has to take their car everywhere. They don't like how their dad don't like, how he's wearing skinny jeans. And a lot of those younger guys I talk to, no offense to anybody out there wearing skinny jeans.
No. Total offense to dads out there in skinny jeans. Total offense. But I've noticed a lot of these 14 to 16-year-old men and women both, boys and girls, I guess I should say, that I've talked to, they have a lot more independence. They want to know how things work. I think that maybe the wave of, because in our generation is when the internet came around. And I think that was pushed so much that that's all you need to know. That I feel like there's an undercurrency of the younger generation going, I think I want a little more than that. Because I look at some of these kids on Facebook that are building cars and stuff already at like 14 or 16. A visceral experience.
Yeah. I want to actually live life and not a virtual life. And it seems like a lot of the really young generation, like I said, that 14, 16, sometimes even 18-year-olds, seems like they're kind of coming around a little different to that thing.
I would hope so. I mean, it's. I don't like the whole. I don't know, like Wall-E. I'm going to go out on that limb. This whole Jetsons kind of stripped down. Everything's automated. Everything's sparkly clean all the time. Everything's perfect. People don't have to do shit anymore. And it's.
Well, it's just fake.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You're definitely a real kind of guy, and I'm with you. There's a lot about technology that I enjoy, I like, but I think that you have to remember that it's a luxury and not a necessity.
Yeah.
If you do
it's like moderation.
Exactly. If you don't know how to change your tire, you probably don't need to be driving. That doesn't mean you have to you need to know how to go in and reprogram your PCM, but the mechanical aspects of it, you need to learn how to do on your own because there might be a time and place where you need to do that. So that's where I'm at. Cell phones don't work everywhere, so
exactly.
You need to have some sort of mechanical aptitude about you, and that's not just in relation to cars. I mean, that's just life in general.
Take an inclination.
Yeah. Be self-sufficient. That's the thing.
Just a little bit. I mean, there's some things that you have to contract out.
Absolutely. Well, there's some things that just make sense to. I mean, I know how to build a wall. But trust me.
Some people are specialized in areas, and some people are.
Well, let's take what you do by profession. Okay, you're a tattoo artist. That's what you do. One of the best I've seen.
Is that what I do?
Well, one of the many things. It's what I know. Yes.
Right.
You need to go to a professional to get a professional tattoo done. You know how I know? Because before I met you, I had some that weren't professional.
Oh, crap.
So there's things that you need to definitely source out. But there's also things that you need to have an ideal of how it works before you go to a professional.
That way you don't get screwed over when
Absolutely.
they start talking all kinds of technical jargon.
Yeah.
And be like, I don't know everything about everything, but I know that you're not trying to charge me twice.
Yeah, exactly. You know, what's that saying? I'm not a master of any trade. No, how's it go? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into every aspect of life. You know, driving, cars.
Well, it should. People should just take an
stuff.
interest in their surroundings and the human experience.
And then, you know, here's the kicker with that. That involves actually talking to other human beings.
You got to get out to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. What we do right here, I think, is and I think this is why podcasts are so big, is that people have lost the art of conversation. You know, I mean, we're doing it here for people to listen in on, but basically it's just you and me talking to each other. I think a lot of people have lost that. I think that's kind of what made being young so special, is that you were in a classroom or something with other people and you had to talk to each other. And nowadays you don't have to do that. You can go to work and not talk to anybody.
But we invite people to conversation. They're welcome to go onto our page and leave messages.
Please do. We like
start
folks.
a topic, like ask us. We'll talk to you.
We'll talk to you. As a matter of fact, the tool thing was suggested by a buddy of mine, Bill Montgomery.
Yeah.
He quoted on there, and Bill's a great guy. I've known him since, 6th grade. And that was a really cool thing that I guess it's kind of weird because if it's something that you do all the time anyway, you don't think, well, wow, people would like to hear about that, you know? Yeah. But then I think about the stuff that I look up on YouTube or different podcasts, and I'm like, they talk about stuff that is normal in their life that I had no clue that was even part of somebody's life, so that's neat. Yeah. You'd be surprised how many people will be like, oh my God, you go buy U-tools? Look, I buy everything used. The only thing I buy new is food.
Toilet paper.
There's been times, bud.
On that note.
But yeah, like Glenn said, you guys go on the On All Cylinders Facebook page and drop some stuff that you want to hear people talk about, because we will talk about it and you may or may not agree with it, but that's perfectly fine, because
that's what conversation is.
Absolutely.
Is two opposing, not even opposing, just two different views.
Oh, I completely forgot where I was going with the Ultra Street stuff. That was a Coyote car that set that record.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coyote.
Stock block Coyote car.
Coyote. 84 horses per liter. Coyote. Just saying.
Yep. No, they're bad. They're bad. They literally are going to cause the LS motor to step its game up. I see a time where there will not be a pushrod V8 available through Chevy.
Dual overhead cam. Small blocks.
It just sounds naughty. It's kind of like the pneumatic tools thing.
Pneumatic tool. For On All Cylinders, this is Glenn.
And this is Ricky.
And I guess we're going to sign out. And we'll see you. You'll hear from us again soon.
Thank you much.
All righty. See ya.